On my first day of clinical placement, I was quite nervous.
I remember feeling scared to enter the room.
Clinical placement is the study of your degree, but using a practical sense.
So it's taking that theory and that knowledge that you've learned and learning how to adapt that knowledge to the real life.
One thing that surprised me was just the amount of work that goes in behind the scenes of seeing patients. It's not just walking into a room, having an interaction with a patient and then walking out. It's all the admin, the work, the effort that clinicians put in.
Everything was different to how I expected. I was overwhelmed by how busy it was.
Juggling life and study and clinical placements is like riding a bike that's on fire. I don't think anyone would sit here and say it's easy.
I had to stop working because it was challenging to balance my work life physically and mentally. So it is possible, but I've heard that it is really challenging.
Accessing placement is easier if you have your own car.
Clinical placements were your typical 9 till 5, Monday to Friday. You'll either do a day or night shift.
When you finish after 11, there's no public transports available. And so then you'd have to ask someone to pick you up or use a transport agency to get home.
Prior to starting clinical placement degree, there is some prerequisites that you've got to do. You've got to get your vaccinations all checked off. You've got to do a police check. They do take time to do, so if I could give a piece of advice, I guess it is to start that early.
I received a lot of support from my clinical educators who visited me during the clinical placements, making sure that I was well equipped for achieving my goals.
During my degree and my clinical placement, I did receive support from AUT. I was able to get some financial assistance to help me go away for my Gisborne placements, and they were able to help substitute rent and food costs for me as well. Some advice to anyone who wants to start a clinical placement degree is to just pay attention to your degree and soak it up. Whilst on clinical placement, you will learn the most that you can.
I mean, that experience and that learning on clinical placements, absolutely worth it, yeah. Couldn't imagine just studying and then going straight on the road.
For me, the best thing about clinical placement was being involved in the care provided to the patients and their whānau.
When you go to someone who genuinely needs you and you are involved in their care and you make a difference, it's a high that never really goes away.